Welcome to Crappens. Don't wait a week for a new video. Join our Patreon at the Crappens On Demand level for instant recap access. Link in description. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens, a podcast about all that crap on Bravo that we just love to talk about. I'm Ben Mandelker, and joining me, as usual, is the wonderful Ronnie Karam. Hi, Ronnie. What's going on?
Hello. What's going on with you, baby?
You know, it's Tuesday. It's Below Deck Day. Very excited to talk about it. In case you didn't hear, one of our many announcements is that we're covering White Lotus on Patreon now. So if you want to hear the rest of the season recapped, and if you want to hear a recap of the season so far, go to patreon.com/watchwhatcrappens and get involved with that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, this weekend, we're going to DC and Philadelphia on Saturday and Sunday, respectively. In DC, we're going to recap the part one of the Southern Charm reunion, which should be really fun. And then in Philadelphia, we're going to recap the latest Summer House. So thanks in advance to everyone who's going to be tuning in, wondering where our Summer House recap is on Thursday. If you can just wait just a few days, that we'd really appreciate that. Go get your tickets at watchwhatcrappens.com. And then after those shows, we continue onwards and upwards. We're going to Boston, Detroit, and Chicago in April. And then in May, we're going to Austin, Dallas, and our very first ever show in Las Vegas, which that's going to be a wild one. So, watchcrappens.com for those tickets. And then also, we're adding Top Chef to the schedule this week, which is going to be fun. And it's going to be good times.
We are adding the last two episodes of White Lotus. We just put a White Lotus catch-up over on our Patreon.
Yes.
And we're going to do the last two episodes over at Patreon. So go join up at Patreon. Also, Hannah and Daisy from Below Deck Yacht, Hannah from the Below Deck Med, and Daisy from Below Deck Sailing Yacht are teaming up to take people on their own private yacht tour of the coast of Croatia. It's going to be amazing. They're going to be partying with people. They're doing basically you and 7 of your friends go on this yacht and party with Daisy and Hannah. So it sounds like an amazing vacation. So if you guys want to find out more about it, email them over at partywithdaisyandhannah@gmail.com. Partywithdaisyandhannah@gmail.com. I want to go. That sounds really
that'll
fun.
be fun. Croatia's beautiful.
Hell yeah, your own below deck experience without douchebags and cameras everywhere.
I know, what a dream. But today we are going to talk about a below deck experience with douchebags and cameras. We're talking about Below Deck Down Under. Someone came up to us, I think at our Charlotte show, and made a really, really strong observation. And she said, and she said it so with pure kindness. She was like, you guys have not been highlighting the fish cameos in Below Deck Down Under recently. And we're like, you know what? You were absolutely right. We will highlight those fish because this show gives us so many wonderful aquatic cameos, and they deserve to be noted. They deserve to be highlighted. And I don't know about you, Ronnie. There was one fish in particular this week that really caught my eye. I wonder if there was definitely like some good blowfish content, which I appreciated. Both, by the way, there was some blowfish on the latest White Lotus too. There was a big old dead blowfish, but there was a living one in this one. But
I didn't see the blowfish. I wasn't calling him fat. It was kind of like a triangular big fish. Like we'll say maybe triangular. Is that which one? I don't know.
There was definitely that. I saw that. I saw my favorite fish of the week. My fish of the week goes to, there was like a fluorescent green, long, skinny fish. Did you see that one? That just sort of sat there. It was like it looked like, is it called a pencil fish? Whatever. It was like long. It looked like a flute or a piccolo. And it was just there, fluorescent green, and just hanging out by some pebbles. And we just got a big, long shot of it. And I said, well, you know what? We didn't get the moray eel this week, which, by the way, that's not right. We should get the moray eel. But if we get that pencil fish, which I'm not sure it's a pencil fish, but I'm calling it a pencil fish. If we get that every week, I will be a happy man, because that was a star right there. That was a breakout performance.
Which is like just a fish that's like completely flat. How did those fish live their lives? I mean, they're goal weight. But you know what? I'll bet they sit there and they talk about themselves badly. They're like, oh my God, I'm just so huge, because they are huge, but they're only huge in one angle, you know, and the other way. I mean, they could fit through 2 sheets of paper. Let's like go through. I bet they're really insecure. It's like you're big in all the wrong places.
Yeah, those flatfish are crazy, like a flounder.
But my favorite of the whole year has been, there was this crab It was huge. And it looked like kind of a drag queen crab. I mean, it looked like it was wearing jangles and bangles and like a wig. I mean, this crab was amazing. And I've been looking for another shot of that crab and I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a crab recently that was really a really good crab. Was it on last night's episode? I also want to amend something. I said pencilfish. I meant needlefish. I think what we saw was a fluorescent green needlefish, and it was just a real star. But yeah, that crab. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Oh God! If you saw it, you would never forget it. You would definitely
never,
because it looked like it was literally wearing tons of jewelry, and it had so much like I guess moss on it that it looked like it had a shawl. I mean, it was a great crab, and it just kept coming in and out of its hole. Like it was like cameras are here, and it would like come out, and then it would go back in. It's like that's all you get.
You know, there was a lot of clownfish content. There was actually one shot, like a really extreme close-up of a clownfish, and I appreciate that. We all love clownfish. Fishes, they really, you know, ever since Finding Nemo, clownfishes have really, you know, they've really come up in the world. But they're so on the nose. It's like
they're on the nose.
It's manipulative,
and they're also like I get frustrated with clownfish because of Finding Nemo because that fucking fish. It's like I'm trying to eat my cereal and I have to feel guilty about you going missing. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel about Nemo.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Nemo, like stay put. Like this is kind of your fault.
Stay put.
Like, I don't know
your fault,
why should I feel
Nemo.
bad? They warned you. Like the survival of the fittest. Sorry.
And how many people have you put in danger due to your stupid decisions? But you get a movie. You know what I mean? You get like a whole movie about you.
Meanwhile, the entire ocean has to be turned upside down just to find you because you were reckless, Nemo. And so therefore, I don't find clownfishes as cute anymore because I do get annoyed at Nemo. And I just feel like it's people, you know what it is? It's also like no one really thought about clownfishes before Nemo came along. And then all of a sudden Nemo came along. Everyone's like, oh, they're so cute. And everyone acts like they always thought clownfishes were the cutest. You never thought they were cute until Nemo came along. I don't feel like
I mean, I always thought they were pretty, but I mean,
sincere.
Here's the thing. Like, I think it's unfair because those fish are like just naturally well dressed. And so everybody's nicer to them.
Yeah.
It's like people who were born like with model looks. Everybody's like, oh my God, they're really an asshole, but God, they're really good looking. Like that excuses something. You know what I mean? And clownfish, what do they have to work for? Nothing. Because they come out with like these perfect outfits. They're all the same size. They all look perfect. They're all like wearing these fabulous clothes and everybody's like, oh wow, that fish automatically gets my respect. And I'm like, that fish didn't have to do it. You want to talk about fucking fish privilege? The clownfish has it.
They do. But you know what's great about the clownfish is that they have staggering insecurity because they're called clownfish. And there's no reason for them to be called a clownfish.
An ugly person named them that.
Yeah, like they're 100% not clowns. Like they should be called like the Missoni fish or something like that. Like they've just got beautiful chevron all around them. And like the fact that someone said, oh, they're a clown, they have to live with that because no matter how beautiful and how popular they are, how well dressed they are, at the end of the day, they're a clown. And that's hard to live with.
Well, I think that they were born to like an ugly doctor and the mom passed out after birth. She was like, oh my God, it was a difficult birth. So she passed out. And then the doctor was like, I'll name it for you. Clown. You're a clown, kid. You're never going to make it with your fabulous outfit. And that's all you've got, you shallow clown. And then so the first clown had to spend the rest of its life proving its worth, you know, which it never really did. So the word clownfish stuck. You know, they never had to make an effort because they're just adorable.
I think the doctor was so mean to that fish also because it's like clearly that like the doctor and the mom it was like husband and wife, right? Like if he delivered his own like fish child. And then it was like obvious when like the fish came out and it was like supposed to be a goldfish because they're both goldfish. And then all of a sudden, wait a second, what are these bands of white that are going around? Who have you been sleeping with? And it turns out like the mom was sleeping with a halibut. So he's like, I'll never accept this bastard clown of a child.
Yeah. And like, well, we can't put bastard clown of a child as its name. So we'll just go with clown. It's a clownfish. And thus we got these stupid fish. Okay, so we open with this episode. It's called Rumble in the Jungle. Dun, 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 dun. Season 3, episode 8. Why is it called Rumble in the Jungle?
Because they have like a Fear Factor jungle theme thing later on, and they start in the jungle. And this jungle around. R.I.P. George Foreman, because wasn't the Rumble in the Jungle his big thing? Anyway. So this episode,
grill
by the
was
way,
his big thing.
I know, but wasn't the Rumble in the Jungle like wasn't that George Foreman?
No, he was like grilled chicken without any fat. And I was like, you're a liar. You're a liar, George Foreman.
The Rumble in the Jungle was George Foreman versus Muhammad Ali, where they both presented competing patents about grills.
I don't like that violent sport.
Okay, well, good news, no boxing here. However, this was also the episode really that finally locked in truly that Vian is terrible. I remember at the beginning of the season, we actually thought he was okay. We're like, oh, he seems like he
Yeah.
should be a douchebag, but he's actually all right. And then this episode, he just was inept and he whined the entire time and did no work. And he's just awful.
Yeah, I
Feels
think
good.
Below Deck has just gotten us to a point where if someone doesn't commit assaults, we're like, oh my God, good for him.
I know.
He's doing great.
Yeah, we're like, he's a great bosun.
He may
But
have
no, he
other
sucks.
faults, but at least he didn't do that, you know?
Yeah,
but
he
yeah,
sucks
he's
though,
a douche.
and he really bungled up. It was a bungle in the jungle, which is a song, where he really messed up this this picnic because he didn't even go on it. He sort of didn't even do any scouting. He didn't get any information. He didn't get any reconnaissance. No one knew what to do. Timing was wrong. No one knew about the surfaces. No one knew how far it was from to the beach thing. I don't even have to tell you. It's just a disaster, and it's really all his fault. And he is on the boat asking the new girl to make cheese plates for a dare, and he's just like resting and looking at himself in the mirror.
Yeah, and he's so lazy. He's so lazy. And that they really highlighted that in this episode, which was fun.
Yeah.
So we are still at the group trip that he didn't plan. So everybody's out, you know, looking at the tortoises, you know, all the,
David.
yeah, tortoise David. I feel like all the, and I stand by this, that like if you have aging guests, take us to a tortoise place because our skincare regimen looks so amazing compared to theirs. We're like, wow. They're all 100, you know? That's where I want to party. Like, take me to a place where there's like a good 150-year-old party, you know? That's where I want to feel like young and hot. So they're doing that. Meanwhile, Serena's stuck with the food and waving flies away because she had to put up the food too early because nobody is coordinating this trip. So she's getting all mad. And she's like, oh my God, I was told lunch would be at 12 instead of 12:30. I mean, what is this? And, you know, she shoos away the flies. And I felt bad for the flies because they finally got a decent meal. It's not poop. It's not a pile of poop. And they're already getting shooed away.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Vian's just like he's taking a shower. He's looking himself in the mirror. I mean, he really is. And so
He even tells
anyway,
himself, hey, handsome, in the mirror. Ugh,
yeah, it's like, I didn't know people really did that. That's
I
just
do
so,
that.
hey, handsome.
Yeah, I do that in the mirror,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, I'll tell you who doesn't do that, the clownfish. Because the clownfish knows
he does.
his sorted past.
Oh, fish are the most. Oh my God, fish are the most narcissistic because they have glass homes. Like when they're domesticated, you know, they've got like glass homes. So all they do is look at themselves all day. You want to talk about a fucking narcissist? It's a clownfish. Trust me.
You know what expression fish hate? People who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. 'Cause they're like, I can't even. Why do you keep saying that to me? I don't have hands.
Yeah,
You're
they're like
taunting
also
me."
people without hands shouldn't throw stones. Great saying. Fucking asshole.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for making a saying that does not apply to me. Only
Now
half
please
me.
get away from my tank so I can continue to stare at the hottest person in the world. Myself. Hello, handsome. Hello.
So, so Laura starts heading over to the beach picnic, etc. And meanwhile, Alicia she's just snapped at, well, she didn't really snap, but she was sassy. She was shady she wasn't shady, but she was snarky to Vian because remember he asked about the cheese plate.
Are you worried
and she's
about all
like,
the Alicia fans coming for you? Like, well, let me
No, I
word
just want
this in the
to make
proper
sure
way.
I don't like using the wrong word if I can help it because I like to be able to make fun of people on Bravo for using the wrong word, but so the more I use an incorrect word, the more I lose my wrong word shading capital. And so I want to like build up that bank of like wrong word capital.
That's
you
funny.
know. So I'm trying to use the right word here. So anyway,
Alicia felt a slight sense of perturbance at Vihan. when he asked
Alicia
for
was
a
taken
cheese
by the pulchritude of her face. So So Alicia, basically she sassed Vian and she had said like, oh, like she's going to be into you even though you've gone through half the crew, blah, 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 which was admittedly out of place even though we don't like Vian. And so now she's stressed about it. She's like, oh, my goal for the charter season is to basically make the best impression, but fuck me. I've already pissed off the bosun and usually have zero filters, but so I'm not surprised by this, but I shouldn't have had that outburst. Like, eat some humble pie and apologize. And by the way, something I'd like to say about Alicia is, I mean, I like her so far, but for some reason I was really turned off by, she had taken her hair and she'd like turned it into like these big spools of hair where the hair was all dangling down. And all I could imagine was just hair in all the food. I don't know why. I don't know why. When the hair is like in a ponytail, it feels better, but like it was all up and dangling like a weeping willow. And I was like, I feel like this is not what I feel like as a chef, you shouldn't have your hair like that. Am I incorrect in that, saying that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because I like her hair because I like that she does the two little buns on her hair, like the lady in Sweeney Todd who turns people into meat. Like they're serial killers, but they turn people into meat pies. So I like that because I like a badass. Here's where I kind of lost a little respect. This part where she apologizes to that douchebag. You don't know that guy anything, and don't fucking apologize to him. I like you right now. But now you're like kind of erasing it with an apology, so I don't like that. So she sends him a text. And meanwhile, Vian and Harry are serving themselves lunch, and Harry, Vian serves a ton, and Harry's like, come on, leave some for me. And he's like, oh, come on, it's not too much. And so Jason is talking about having to relocate the boat because Captain Sandy's nemesis is here. The wind. The wind is here. It's here, guys.
Yeah. There's a swell. There's a swell. Norma must have jumped into the ocean. So,
Norma must have done a cannonball day. Cannonball Wednesday. Bloop. Oh, you better watch your ass or I'm going to spank you. I mean, spanks ya. Bloop.
Bloop. Well, you would like to spank me because you got nothing else to do in your life because it's sad and boring.
Okay, you already lost this text fight because all I saw were three dots pulsing for too long. You lose. Bloop. Love you, bitch.
Bloop. Bloop. I'm out of practice. Sorry, I've been on vacation.
So Jason is leaving the boat to go check out calmer waters. So then Vian's like, what does it mean? What does it mean we need calmer waters? And then his food slides off the table onto the floor and the dish breaks because,
He does it because the thing is he sort of like sort of throws his food, the plate on there, and then, like, I don't know. And so then it just slides off. He's just so inept at everything. And of course he makes a huge mess and everything. So Jason is saying that they're going to be going to Lodique. This is our first time in Lodique and it's paradise, but the weather we can't control. So we're going to go because, we have to find a new anchorage because that's what we have to do. So then everyone they're biking over to this beach picnic. There are flies everywhere. It continues to be a disaster. But they get there, and by the time they get there, they've made it look all nice. And Serena is saying, like, I wanted to bring a little bit of England to the Seychelles. There's little finger sandwiches, lobster rolls, and tiny little cupcakes that have the Gallagher brothers frosted on top of them.
So the ladies all love their lunch. Everything worked out great, guys. And then Serena's like, Laura, because she's done like kind of this big tomato tart and all this stuff that they're doing with their hands, or cutting it and taking it with their hands. And so Laura's like, so what are we serving these people with? She goes, oh, there's no tongs or anything. That's just how we're doing it today. There's nothing to serve. And Laura's like, not ideal. Because now this is cemented as Laura's biggest storyline of the season. Why won't this fucking chef use serving things?
I know.
She's so confused about why she can't just get this woman to use a tong or a spoon. She doesn't get it. I don't either, really.
It's an ongoing issue. So the picnic is there. They're having fun, taking photos, eating food, having a great time. And then now Johnny is taking photos of them. Apparently this is kind of his specialty, is he takes photos of the guests. Like he's always like, beautiful pose by the rock. Oh, fabulous. Like beautiful piece of spanakopita. Oh,
he does a
sexy.
very weird pose himself though as he's taking the pictures. I don't know if you noticed, but he bends all the way over like he's touching his toes and then takes a picture that way.
I did not notice that.
Why are you taking a picture like that? It's like dropping the soap. He's lucky I wasn't around.
So then Zarina and Bree are just heading back to the boat, and Zarina's like, I literally didn't realize I could sweat from some of these areas. It's behind the knees. It's like Niagara Falls coming out from behind my knees right now. Isn't that lovely?
It's disgusting. I'm so glad I'm not there. Like, it looks like paradise. I think I'm really going to be a big fan of VR once it becomes like good enough that we can just sit around and like be on VR all day, because I can see all this beauty but not have to feel the heat of it. Not have to feel the gross sweating behind my knees. Not that I've never felt sweating behind my knees before, but that's how I know it's disgusting, you know?
Yeah, it's this is definitely one of the most humid seasons of Below Deck we've ever seen. Like, I get sticky just watching it.
Yeah. So Johnny is doing his direction. He's like, don't be afraid to lean on rock. There is the confidence we love. Lady leaning on the rock. Photo by Johnny.
Like a beautiful young Artemis in her prime. So now there's more making food, and Alicia's basically, she's really stressed because she should be making food, but now she's stressed and distracted because she's thinking about how to craft an apology to Vion, which is so stupid. And like, yes, she shouldn't have to apologize in the first place, although she is like hierarchically, she shouldn't have said that to someone who's higher up, and she's doing the right thing. She shouldn't have to do this. She shouldn't do it, but it's technically the right thing. But the point is that he put her in this position in the first place, and he should have never walked in there and asked for a cheese plate while she was working, and it was on charter. And so like that she was even put there in the first place is where the real fuckery is. And now she's sitting here in a situation where she has to focus on Vion and his emotions rather than the food.
Yeah, because if we're going to talk about hierarchy, he shouldn't be trying to fuck one of his underlings either, and writing her love letters and making her cheese plates, because, you know, power imbalance, right, etc. So I'm not going to stand up for him. Fuck him. I don't think she should ever apologize to him. And if he can go hit on an underling, she can make fun of him for it, because he's the first one he threw the rules out. So fuck that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck him for sure.
She sends the message, and he gets it, and he goes, "Oh my God, she sent me a message. Listen to this message. I feel so bad for being rude earlier. I follow your heart, and who's me to be saying anything? Oh, well, she's just playing a game trying to make someone jealous." And Harry's like, who is she trying to make jealous? And he's like, oh, really? Me?
Wait, how would Vion be jealous from this text? Like, why would she be trying to he is like literally so stupid. And Harry's like, do you reckon? He's like, well, I mean, fuck you. Look, what does it have to do with her? I mean, look, follow your heart, and who's me to be saying anything? Like, what doesn't even make sense? She just wants me to be jealous. She wants me so badly.
Yeah, and Harry's like, that's her apologizing. He goes, no, you know what I think? She's like, okay, I'm going to flirt with the one who's been taken and make all the other boys jealous. Oh my God, you are so stupid. You are literally so stupid. And then it dawns on me, he just literally doesn't know words. He doesn't understand.
He doesn't.
Follow your heart. And he doesn't understand even what she's talking about. He's literally an idiot. And I love what he just has this big blink in his eyes where he's like, blink, blink, blink. And, at this point, at least we know he's just stupid, you know?
Yeah. I literally am. But I can't even follow his logic and how he's interpreting it. I think your answer is the best one, which is that he just doesn't understand the words. So he's just he's built this case that the case itself doesn't make sense because he can't make sense of this. So Harry's like, oh, I don't know how delusional you have to be to think that if you get a text from a girl, she likes you. I mean, this isn't The Bachelor; it's a super yacht. I'm like,
now I hope tonight I can give my tragedy story to Brie, and she'll fall in love with me and give me a rose.
Exactly. Cut to a scene of Harry asking if he can reserve a master bedroom. So then everyone heads back, and Marina is asking Alicia like with help or whatever, or she's just asking for help. And they're all getting ready, and there's going to be some drinks that are handed out, and Jason's asking how everything went, and Beyond's like, oh, it was amazing. He's like, okay, so what's the plan now? He's like, well, I'm going to go pick up Johnny and Adair and now all this stuff, and like, God, Captain Jason just wants me to be jealous. Like, why is he all up? I thought he was straight, but it looks like he's coming on to me. It's like out of control.
So Serena comes back complaining, of course. She's telling Alicia, like, oh my God, it was horrible. It was the most unorganized mess. It was terrible. Just make some crew food. All right, let's just do a tomato mozzarella salad. Keep it simple. So then Vion is complaining about being exhausted. Oh, no, sorry. Johnny is telling him he's exhausted. And he's like, it's the long distances, too much walking, too much carrying, and imparting such wisdom as... feel free to lean against rock.
Using my art, my craft.
It was not
So-
easy, but I changed a woman today. A woman became an artist today. Thank you.
Her name was Nia Vardolos. So Zarina is she's cooking. She's prepping some food, and she announces that she's like, so I got a recipe from a local woman about this bloody bat, and it turns out she's literally cooking bat, which I was not expecting. But apparently, it's a local delicacy in the Seychelles.
Yeah, one of the ladies requested bats, and I think it's the Australian lady. And so they're going to have a fear factor. They're going to have a fear factor night where they have a bunch of grody things, and then the ladies eat crazy things like bats. I can do that at home. You know what I mean? I don't want to go put my hand in spaghetti and pretend it's something disgusting on a luxury yacht.
I am open to eating local delicacy. Like if I were in the Seychelles and they said bat was a delicacy, I would eat the bat. I would do that. But what I'm not, I don't think I want to have a fear factor experience like you just said on a super yacht. Like if I want to have a fear factor experience, I will literally go to like Sizzler or something. But I don't
take
have
a
to
shower where there's full length mirrors. You know what I mean?
But I'm not doing that on a super yacht. I want to have a luxury factor experience.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, teams, you have 5 minutes to sit on a chaise lounge. Go.
Yeah. The real
Can you do this?
fear factor is going to like the breakfast day at the Hyatt place or whatever, you know?
Oh God! If you want dry
That's
crumbly
Ben's
eggs,
fear
how much dry crumbly eggs can you eat in 5 minutes? It's just salty and dry.
I've eaten a lot of those.
I refuse.
Okay, so now what's happening now? So Jason,
So she's making the bat.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Jason, it's time to do the anchor, right? And so Johnny's over there, like, anchor, you look beautiful. I just need more from behind your eyes. But the anchor is kind of sticking; it's not coming up. And meanwhile, Vian is just going through pictures on. Not Bree. Is it Bree's phone? What's that girl's name? The Hick. I'm sorry, I'm a little sick today. Adair's phone. They're going through pictures. She's like, oh my God, look at that. And that's a turtle. And he's like, wow, I love turtles. She's like, me too. You know, the turtles that drive pickup trucks. I love them. Hey, you think do you think this tortoise dips? He's like, oh my God, I'm in love with you. I love your accent. And meanwhile, Johnny is trying to figure out the anchor. And meanwhile, Jason can see all this through the CCTV. So he's like, hello, are we paying attention? And Beyond's like, paying attention to tortoises. Am I right? God, I've never wanted to own a family of tortoises more than with someone like you, Adair. She's like, yeah, right.
Yes, pretty cool. And so he's like, are you kidding me? I can see everything on CCTV, which, as we all know, is a cable channel dedicated to CC Peniston. They're on there. It's crazy. And there's no sense of urgency. We're in a crowded anchorage. We've got a swell coming in. I need all eyes on deck. It's not acceptable. So I'm going to lay into him right now. Hold on. Let me get on the radio. Hey, Vion, why are you guys standing around? Wow. He really heard it from me.
And another complaint with Jason this season. What the fuck, Jason? And then still Vion never gets in any trouble. He tells him, like, don't do that, mate. But then who has to wear the disco ball from hell? Not this guy. He gets away with that every time. Last time he almost drowned somebody by putting a wave runner that was leaking into the ocean. You gave the disco ball from hell to somebody else. And now he does this, and you still never give him the disco ball. What the fuck, bro?
Yeah. Are you only allowed to have it once? Because he had it after the first charter, I think. So maybe he doesn't want to overdo it. But yeah, this guy needs like a disco ball. He needs like a few different disco balls attached. So, so they go, because the anchor's stuck. So basically Vion, like, he just like goes into that little hole and fixes it and everything. So then meanwhile, Zarina and Alicia are cooking and they're really happy. And then Alicia tells Zarina that Vion came in and said, can you make a cheese board? And Zarina's like really put off by it. And I was really hoping that Zarina would hold his feet to the flames about this a little bit more. I feel like it didn't come up again. And I was like really ready for this to become like a thing. Like, why are you pestering my sous chef about a cheese platter for your date? You know, I thought this was going to be,
because part of her wants a cheese plate. You know what I mean? Part of her is like, oh, so the cheese plate was for me. Did you make it? Was it amazing? She's like, no, it was for Adair. She's like, fuck him and his cheese plates. So she's like, I don't understand why he's asking for date stuff while we're on charter. So then Vion's trying to make some romance happen with Adair. They're just like staring out over the water. And he's like, did you keep the letter I wrote you? She's like, yeah, I've never had a letter written in pictures and fingernails before. And he's like, yeah, I like writing. I have a little book, and in it, I write things, my deepest, darkest thoughts. Here's one. I got $5 today because I slapped someone in the face with my penis. Was it worth it? It was. I bought cigarettes. She's like, oh my God, that's so romantic.
Here's something else I wrote. I said, a little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side, a little bit of Rita's what I need, a little bit of Tina's what I see.
Oh my God, do you have a land filled with gays? Because you sound like a gay lord right now.
So then there's more cleaning happening, and Bree is like, Bree and Laura are talking about like an energy drink. They're talking about like, oh yeah, we have to do our energy thing. We always have to do it before dinner service. It's kind of like they're expressing that they've already kind of developed a little bit of a ritual before they do dinner service. And then Marina's all sad because she witnesses it, and she's like, I am alone. You know, I don't get to do fun things. She's all sad because she's in the laundry room and she feels left out.
And I think this is unfair because they were told, I'm not going to have a second or third. I'm going to decide as we go and have you guys switching it up so it doesn't get too old. And then she keeps one person down in the laundry the whole time. I don't think that's nice.
But that being said, it's only been, yes, I agree. She said she'd switch it up, but this is Marina's only, so she's done 2 laundry charters in a row. She's acting like she's been down there for like 7 charters. It's only been like, you're on 1 bonus one right now. So
but I think it's like when you're in solitary confinement, you know, it makes it worse. It makes it seem longer. It's torture.
Yeah, I guess it is. I don't know. I kind of feel like everyone likes to deal with the guests, but I feel like I think I might want to do the laundry more, to be honest.
No, they all say that.
You don't have to deal with
that.
You don't have to deal with the people. Yeah, I guess they do all say that.
I like dealing with the people. So Bree is like, oh, you know, I know we have to do it. Wait, what are they talking about? Our daily? Oh, the energy drinks. And
yeah.
Okay, so then Jason is talking to Serena, and he's asking how the picnic went. She's like, well, you know, the organization wasn't great. You know, we were just told so many different things. And if I'd been told those things by a boyfriend instead of an idiot bosun, they might have landed differently. But where we're at now is Vion kind of sucks. And he's like, uh-oh. Oh, well, let me tell him off. Let me find the best way to tell him off. Hold on. Vion, Jason. You're doing great, mate. You're doing great. Everything's going great. All right. Bye. Love you.
He should be trembling in his boots now.
Love you. You'd be terrified.
I just don't know how we could not follow the simple plan. Organise, lead this excursion, and be there. There's no bringing it up now, but we'll go to bed, and I'll bring it up after the charter. And when I bring it up after the charter, I'm going to say, now listen here, Vion. I heard about what you did, and what I've got to say to you is, your hair looks great. All right. Yeah. Better work next time.
And he's like, so when the guests came together, everything was there, everything was working. She's like, oh my God, the charter guests didn't even notice. They felt so young after hanging out with tortoises. They were literally just taking off their tops, hitting on teenagers on the bar. That's really all they cared about.
So now we're approaching dinner, and Laura is designing this Fear Factor game, and Harry comes up with this idea of like, hey, why don't we take some pails, put some garbage bags over the top, cut out a little hole, and have to reach in and feel things. It'll be fun. And it's like, great. And Laura's basically says to Vion, could you get me some pails for this? So now then she talks about tonight's dinner, which is going to be jungle themed and yada yada, Fear Factor, curries.
Like, finally, I'm the artist my mother never knew I could be. Putting hot dogs into jugs that people will reach into and be disgusted by. God damn it. I've made it.
I know, right? So so Vion comes. Now we're getting even closer to dinner, and so they're up on deck, and Laura's, Vion's there and Laura has him blowing up some inflatable crocodiles, and she's like, by the way, do you have any of those buckets? And he's like, sure. How many do you need? She's like, well, I need 4 of them. He's like, all right. And then he kind of is like,
he just sits there. Yeah.
Okay.
He's sitting
Good
down
chat.
to blow down his alligators or whatever. And she's like, could you get me 4 pails? And he goes, sure. And then he blows very slowly into an alligator. And then he's like, I'm going to go take a shower. And then he gets up and leaves.
He just leaves. Just leaves. And so then he's like, oh, Harry will take over for a second. So then he just pawns it off onto Harry, you know? And Harry's like, well, what? Like, I don't know. What am I supposed to even be doing? She's like, well, I've told him a million times. And every time I tell him, he's just like, I mean, he said how many buckets? How many times do I have to tell him how many buckets? 4 buckets. 4 simple buckets.
Yeah. And Harry's like, I'll agree. I agree. I'll get it all under control. You can count on me. So Harry goes and is now in charge of buckets. So Marina is trying to get some goss from Bree. She's like, so how are you guys together? And Bree's like, well, you know, Harry's like, you know, I think about you as I lay in bed, you know, nice stuff. But I just want to know where his head's at. I mean, I think about you as I lay in bed could mean a lot of things, you know? I think about lots of stuff when I lie in bed. The answers to crossword puzzles I'm never going to finish. You know? What are taxes? How do I pay those? Do horses ever talk to people?
So Harry asks Alicia to cook some spaghetti for the Fear Factor buckets, and she says yes. So for everyone who's worried that there'll be no spaghetti, it's happening. And then Vian is like, I lost my belt. And Adair's like, well, maybe it's in the laundry. I'll find it in 5 seconds. Like, oh, please do. And Harry is like, Harry's talking to them, and he's like, look, I feel like I'm a one-man team at the moment. He's basically like, can you help me out? I'm coordinating spaghetti. I'm finding buckets, all the really hard stuff. Can you help me?
What are you organizing? And so he tells her, and Laura's like, we need to cover the pails with black bin liners with a hole in the top. They put the hands through. They're disgusting. It's like, we should mash up some bananas. So they're getting a bunch of nasty stuff in there.
Cut to Laura in like 5 years, just in the corner of a room on a rocking chair, being like, 4 buckets, trash can over the top, 4 buckets, trash cans over the top. She's like, how many times? She has to tell people this so many times that she's just gonna crack.
So Serena is cooking with Elisa, you know, as it goes. And then Johnny comes in, and they're, you know, she's kind of flirting with him. And he's like, how was your day? You seem happy. She goes, I am happy. And he's like, you're so cute. Let me kiss your hand. I'm going to take care of you one day. If there is ever a rock to lean on and you are not leaning on it, I will remind you, lean on the rock.
And it would be very creepy, except for the fact that she seems to enjoy it. I mean, I do find that Johnny is very attractive. This is too much. I think it's too much, especially in the galley when she's working. But you can see she's excited. She literally tells us, she goes, the energy that Johnny is giving me is intense. I mean, it just gives you fanny flutters, you know, just like little purrs, like, what. And it's just like, ooh, it's just like a sexy Greek man. I mean, I love it.
Fanny flutters?
It's a British thing.
Fuck?
Fanny flutters is a British.
Isn't your fanny your butt? Your butt starts fluttering?
Not in Britain. Fanny has
a different.
It's a different location in the same area if you're a lady, but it's not your butt, and it flutters.
Why would they rename a butt a vagina in America? I mean, why would they rename a vagina a butt? Is that what I said? I don't know. I'm lost today, but why would you do that? It's very confusing.
You know what? It's just one of those weird things that happens across the pond. You know, like when you go across the Atlantic Ocean, the vagina becomes the butt, the butt becomes the vagina. It's just a weird thing. But
it
yeah,
is like
flutters.
kilometers to miles I get, or centimeters to inches, whatever. You know, that stuff I kind of get. But vagina to butt? I mean, good Lord. You're gonna make a lot of English people very uncomfortable when they travel here. And they're like, yeah, I do mean my fanny. And they're like, ow, what the hell, bro?
I learned this because Maura, do you remember Maura from on Love Island USA? Maura would do like the after show. She's like, hi, I'm Maura. Hello, we're gonna meet all the people who got kicked off. So when she was on Love Island, she kept on always saying like, oh, Curtis gives me fanny flutters. So it's kind of a thing. It's kind of a thing that I like to say because of Maura. But anyway, the point of the story.
Fanny flutters in America are not good. That means you probably had some bad food and you're about to go poop for a few days.
I know. She's like, oh, wow. What a handsome Greek man. Gives me diarrhea.
That's really hot in Britain. They're like, that's a compliment. So Elisa's like, yeah, Fanny flutters. And if that comes in the form of a sexy Greek man, go on then, go on. So Laura's like, my vision for this evening is to gross these guests out as much as possible, just like Pollock did, just like... I'm too stupid to think of other artists today, but there you get it. Litchis, blueberries, red food coloring, cockroaches. I don't know, maybe I'll put Vion in a thong again, just for the fun of it.
I just want, I want these guests to cringe. So I'm setting up a camera. I'm going to watch them. I'm going to have them all watch Harry flirt with Brie. So then Lara radios and says everyone is seated for dinner and everything. And so she asks Adair and Marina to go clean cabins. But because Vion wants to flirt with Adair, he goes down to the cabins, and then Johnny goes down the cabins too, and they're all just like in the cabins cleaning and being silly.
And Vion, of course, immediately starts fucking around with Adair and not really working. So Marina's getting super pissed because like he. He's like, oh, this is called a turn down, huh? And she's like, yeah, it's a turn down. Tuck it right, okay? And they're like he. And then so Johnny starts helping, and he's like, oh my God, you guys, have we heard what sound turtle makes when it is getting flittered in its fanny? And they're like, no. And he's like, it sounds like this. Let me watch. I've looked up tortoise porn on iPhone. Let us all gather around. So they start listening to the sounds that turtles make and cracking up.
Yeah, this happened to me once. I definitely once had an afternoon where I did look up a lot of like tortoises having sex, and it is actually very funny. And they play the sound over and over and over again. Like the post-production just adds in the sound like a for the rest of the scene. They even go to commercial with the tortoise going
So we cut back to the guests having dinner, and this lady's like, so my friend's from college. And someone goes, nursing school? She goes, no, college. Well, look, it took me 11 years to get my bachelor's degree. So yeah, that was still college. And she goes, okay, so you were partying in college. She goes, well, I went to 4 different colleges. Yeah, it took a while. But guess what? I have my doctorate now. So got it yesterday, 72. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the doctorate is in. Doctorate's in partying, not gonna lie. So everyone is downstairs and they're goofing off. They're laughing to these tortoise sounds. It's like a bunch of like teenagers, right? And they need to be doing service. And Harry is kind of a brown noser. Justifiably so. He's dealing with an inept boss, and they're all just slacking off, and everything's on his shoulders. So he's fed up, but he's like, every single deckhand is in the interior. And Laura's like, are they actually cleaning, or are they just pissing around? Because I need help bringing these hot dogs in the shape of 7 fingers up to the guests. And she's like, yeah, well, I think there's a lot of pissing around. So Marina's losing her mind because she's trying to clean, but they're all like being silly. And she's kind of like, I don't want to be in housekeeping on this trip. And this is even worse. So yeah, if I hear one more turtle sex noise, I promise to God, I'll whoop your ass down to the crew mess.
Poor Marina. She's like, oh my God, I'm the only one on this boat and not getting laid. Even the turtles are getting laid. What the hell? So then Laura presents the main meal, which is roast chicken, garlic prawns, carrot and butternut puree, and tender stem broccoli with a Parmesan crisp. Shockingly, not a soup served with the fork. I don't get it either. Let's just roll with it.
Just enjoy the proper utensils while you have them. So then Harry and Bree are flirting, and Harry's like, you look nice and pretty. She's like, thanks. I missed you. I miss you too.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
To think, what Bree and I have is something special. And like, we have chemistry and we have sparks. And to think that I'm dating a model. I almost messed it up. To think that this almost fizzled out before it even got started. And not even with a regular person, but a model.
Yeah, he's like, I would feel so shit if our relationship fizzled before it even started. I've got to come up with something extremely sexy to do. Extremely sexy. So let's see what he comes up with. So then a guest is asking Jason about the Bahamas, and she's like, well, there have been a lot of shark attacks in the Bahamas. And he's like, there's a chance of getting killed by a coconut about 150 times more than getting killed by a shark, ladies.
Turns out that around these parts, coconuts have a right to carry a concealed weapon. So it's very dangerous.
Do you think it's because more people have a chance of standing under a coconut tree than they do of being around a shark?
Probably. I don't know. Maybe that's going to be what happens on the White Lotus. Violent coconuts.
Well, I just wonder who comes up with these things. Like the Shark Commission, like there's a commission of sharks. Like, oh, really?
Definitely.
They're saying we're dangerous? Well, it's more dangerous to get killed by a coconut. Tell them that. Tell them to put that in their pipe and smoke it with their opposable thumbs.
Yeah, this is definitely a piece. This is definitely a study that was put out by like the shark lobby. Okay, because this is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it right now. I think more sharks kill. Maybe people have coconut allergies. Does that count?
Oh, that's true. I don't know.
But I think that's not fair.
You didn't
because then
specify the
you're
coconut
actively
falls
doing
on top of your head.
Yeah, because I feel like if you die from a coconut allergy, then you're like actively doing something to the coconut as opposed to the coconut doing something to you. You know, because you're eating the coconut, it's fighting back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just don't know who comes up with this shit. They're like, you know what? They're calling sharks dangerous. Well, butterflies can change the future. I mean, if you step on a butterfly, that can change the outcome of everybody else's life. Go tell them that. Go tell them if they step on one butterfly, it can change someone's entire trajectory. And then we've got all of these huge things just because sharks don't want to be called mean.
I just want to say there is an entire Wikipedia page called Death by Coconut. It says coconuts falling from their trees and striking individuals can cause serious injury to the back, the neck, the shoulders, the head, and the crack. And it can occasionally be fatal. Following a 1984 study on injuries due to falling coconuts, exaggerated claims spread concerning the number of deaths by falling coconuts. Falling coconuts, according to urban legend, kill a few people a year. The legend gained momentum in 2002 in the 2002 work of a noted expert on shark attacks, was characterized as saying that falling coconuts kill 150 people each year worldwide. The statistic has often been contrasted with the number of shark-caused deaths per year, which is around 5. And concern about the risk of fatality due to falling coconuts led officials in Queensland, Australia, to remove coconut trees from beaches in 2002, and one newspaper dubbed coconuts the killer fruit. Wow. Well, that's the news.
Yeah. Well,
So,
teenagers
this is a
also
thing.
die from sniffing whiteout. Okay. Mm-hmm. I just looked that up because I was like, what else is really dangerous that we're not talking about? Whiteout, which we're all still using every day in this day and age. So basically, Harry's like, yeah, it's been hot today. They're making small talk. He's making small talk with Serena. And he's like, you know, there are a few things that can be improved on probably with Vion, because Harry is a tattletale, you know. And if I didn't hate Harry, I would I don't hate Harry. If I didn't hate Vion, I would kind of be anti-Harry because he really is a snitch. And we all know what happens to
tattling all
snitches.
season.
Okay? They get snitches.
They get coconuts.
They get
coconuts on their
stitches
head.
after sharks throw coconuts at them and they die.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's exactly right. Because when you tattle on a coconut to a shark, who's going to get hurt? You. So, Now, Harry's been a tattletale this entire season, but he's been tattling for the greater good recently. So we're going to let it pass. So he's saying that communication is really bad. There's no schedule, and he just wants, like Vion needs to be more of a boss, etc. And so now they've got all these plates to go up for dessert, like a lot of plates, and they've got almost every plate except they need one more person. And so Lara's like, hello, Adair, I need Adair. Because don't forget, Adair is a deck stew, and she's supposed to go back and forth. But Vion keeps acting like she's like a decky primarily, who he like leases to the interior for like 5 minutes every night. Like they get to have her. But like they're supposed to equally have Adair. But he really takes like, he's always the one to say, oh, you don't have to do that, or you can just go to bed. And Lara needs her. And so now Adair is with Vion, and they're distracted, and they're goofing off somewhere, and everyone else is standing up there in the galley waiting for Adair, and because they can't bring the dessert out.
All right, so they keep radioing them, but they're fucking around instead of listening to the radios, and it's getting very dramatic and below deck. Harry's like, come on, any crew, we're dying here. We have places to carry. I have a family to raise one day with Bree. She's like, oh my God, he said he wants to raise a family with me? What does it mean?
And then, Vian and Adair are talking about pedicures. He's like, I think I want to get a pedicure tomorrow. And finally, like, Alicia just like darts to her room and puts on her blacks so that way she could bring it up. And then they finally, Adair and Vian were like, come sort of like sauntering in like, oh, do you need any help? But they're like, well, finally you're here, but it's too late. We already got it figured out, like that sneer, like fucking idiots,
He's like, we were just finishing cabins, mate. I had to dry showers and shit. You think that's easy while discussing pedicures? Come on, man. And Laura's like, oh, yeah, I bet you did a lot of work. And he's like, okay, but Adair, are you going to bed? And Laura's like, no, can Adair do her job, please? That would be great. She goes, yeah, I'll do this, and then I'll go to bed. Listen,
Thanks,
Missy.
Adair.
Yeah, listen, Missy. You better get your ass to work.
I know. Thanks for doing us the honor of gracing us with your presence during your job. Thank you so much. So then Vian goes to like get a hug from Zarina afterwards, and she's like, "Don't touch me. You fucked up. Really fucked up, Joe." And he's like, "Are you sassy, Harry? Sassy Laura? What did I do wrong?" He's like, "Doesn't matter. It's just like everything today, a lot of communication stuff. I feel like there's just been pressure from your side, putting it on the interior, and they're really stepping up both on your side, and it's just getting really mixed up. And then I just feel like in the galley, I'm just left there."
I don't understand why people cannot because she's complaining about communication, but what she's communicating also needs work. Because she's like, I just feel like you're kind of putting pressure on the interior, and now they're slipping up. No, say you're fucking flirting on the job, and you're going down there while she's supposed to be working. Nothing's getting done. You guys aren't on your radios. We needed people up here. My fucking sous chef had to get on a different outfit to do your job because you were fucking around off your radio. Like, why isn't it ever specific? It's just like random, you're putting pressure on interior. I don't know what that means. And he doesn't either.
Communication needs work. Yeah, like just
Right.
stop being fucking lazy.
Yeah, they need to specify what he's doing wrong. Because I feel like every time they tell him, it's just like, well, your staff is fucking up. No, you're fucking up. You're not doing anything right. You're fucking flirting instead of doing your goddamn job. And you're making that girl flirt instead of doing her goddamn job. And you don't have your radios on. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's always like some weird, like, you're putting pressure on your staff. And it's also from Laura. And he's like, what? What does that mean? I'm putting pressure on. And so Laura takes dessert up, and they have dehydrated strawberry dust, which how no one didn't snort that up is beyond me. I mean,
yeah, fear factor starts early. So then afterwards, after serving this dessert, the Deckies are sitting in like a little booth in the crew mess. And Harry's like, did you not hear the radio calls? It was like anyone that was like trying to get people to come. I couldn't find anyone. And Bian's like, why is she angry with me though? I mean, Serena, like, how am I putting pressure on the interior? And he's like, well, I'm confused at the time. Like, what? I don't even know what time I'm supposed to go down tonight. I don't even know what time I'm supposed to go to sleep. Brie got excited when he said, what time am I supposed to go down tonight? She's like, oh, finally a sign. Oh, never mind. He's talking about going to bed. So Vian is like, he's like, well, this is actually going to make me angry because like when he was on nights, there was like no problem. When Johnny was on nights, there was no problem at all. But like everyone knew what they had to do, like going to bed, nothing, zero complaints. But now that you're on nights, there's like a wake up, there's a complaint. And is it Laura that's complaining about someone not being there 8 a.m. or 2 comments? Is it you? He's like trying to turn it around like this is Harry's fault.
yeah. He's like, yeah, when Johnny goes and works tonights, nobody complains about anything. And Harry's like, wait a minute, what am I doing? He goes, well, I don't know, but every now I wake up and there's a complaint. So if it's not Laura complaining about not someone, then it's 8 a.m. Like, you can't do cabins? And he's like, what? You're not making sense. And he's like, Harry's like, just tell me what to do. Just give me like a specific list of what you want me to do. And he's like, it's not rocket science. Come on, guys. Like, just come down at 1, come back at 9. It's got nothing to do with the list. And he's like, well, I know how it works. I'm not dumb. Or I just want clear communication. I want the schedule saying this is what the night person does. This is the hours they do. This is what the morning person does. This is that. Maybe you should write it down. And Adair's like, I like things in writing.
So Vian's like, oh, people are really just pissing me off. Okay. So then he goes and he like writes down a schedule on the whiteboard, which is what he should have done all along. And he's acting like he's definitely doing that thing where Harry's like, I just would love it if you could write down a list. He's like, no, I'm not going to do what you say. I'm the one around here. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to write it down in a list. It's like, yeah, that's what he was asking for.
So then everyone's in a bad mood right now. So Alicia comes in and she's like, so is this a bad time to ask if anyone wants to try cream for the cheesecake? And they're like, fuck no. When is it a bad time to eat cheesecake cream? Get in here.
And then Vian is like, all right, everyone, look, trash, towels, drinks, sun deck, rinse over the side when possible. It's that simple. It's like, yeah, so then why have you not written this down? Because they clearly need to know what to do. And in fact, it was like 2 weeks ago when Laura was like, do you have a list where you write down like a checklist of doing things like cleaning broken glass that's lying at the bottom of a table, things like that? He's like, no.
And he
So he's
made
been
Harry
sitting on
come up
making
with
this
all
list
this
forever.
stuff because he didn't know how to
Yeah.
make a list, remember?
Yeah.
So Harry's like, well, don't get angry with me. And he's like, I'm not getting angry. I'm just saying. So then Serena is telling Laura and Bree that she snapped at Vian, and she's like, I mean, joke around when you're done with your job. I mean, I'm a feisty bitch today. So Jason tells them, you've got some fun coming up. And Laura says, there's going to be an eating challenge, a sensory challenge. It's jungle, it's wild, it's adrenaline, it's art. It's art.
So Harry's annoyed. So he's muttering to himself. He's like, for fuck's sake. And Jason hears it. He's like, hey, normally you're all happy and, swinging your limbs around. What's everything all right? He's like, yeah, no, yeah, it's good. Which is that thing you do when you want to be on the record for saying that you didn't immediately tattle, but you're basically saying,
I was pressured.
ask me again and I'll tattle.
Yeah, he's like, why don't you come into the bridge, mate? I'll put on a kimono. I'll put on my feeling kimono, and you can express your feelings.
Now, when you tell me your feelings, here's a little megaphone, so that way everyone in the hallway can hear you. Got it. Okay, right. He's like, it's just, it's the scheduling's all over the place. Like even tonight, like last year we had a grid up here, a breakdown here, things there, and like that'll probably be a good idea this time around. And basically, Vian is in the hallway and he overhears Harry and he's like listening in. And this is kind of sucky too, because now like Jason has pulled Harry to the side, but I don't feel like Jason protected Harry by closing that door. And so now Harry's going to get in trouble with his boss.
Yeah, so he hears that he's being tattled on, and the dude's like, what are you doing, spying? Come on! He's like, no, I'm not spying. I'm just getting things from my book. So then Harry just basically says, there's a lot of negativity, and it's bringing everybody down. Now, Jason, even though Jason's kind of making Harry tell him, Jason hates this shit. Like, he does not want to get into interstaff stuff. He just wants to, work on kimono designs,
Kimonos
so
and scuba diving.
And he's like, negativity from who? And he's like, well, Vian says something, and then Johnny follows it, and then I follow that. It goes through a chain. And he goes, well, then what you need to do is get positive. But Harry's always positive. It's not the problem with the positive person. It's the problem with the negative person.
Here, and the thing is this, Jason knows that Harry's always positive. Harry's always happy-go-lucky and I just put an anchor down. And the fact that Harry is moping around and seems upset, Jason knows something is fucked up. Something has gone wrong in the department.
Yeah, so Vian's like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? What are you even saying? Loyalty is extremely important to me, and I don't really know if I can trust this guy anymore. So now it's eating contest time. It's the fear factor moment.
Yeah, so they try all these things, the eyeballs, the hippo eyeballs that are just lychees with something in them, blackberries or something, or a blueberry, and then the fingers, whatever. They eat their bat, but Vian is still moping around. He's like, it's actually upsetting me, bro. That's one person on this boat that's fucking all this. There's no communication. I don't know how many times I need to sit down with this girl. Now I'm putting pressure on them. What? So is he angry at Lara now, or is he angry at Harry?
He's angry at everybody because he feels like everybody's talking about him and he's not doing anything wrong. So now it's just this big ball of mess where everybody's trying to make him look bad. He's one of those. It's like if it's everybody on the boat, babe, maybe it's you, But he's just going to blame everybody else because that's how he rolls. So then he's like, so Adair, we can clean up all this crew mess stuff. And she's like, can I just sweep and be done? And he's like, no. She goes, yes. And he's like, And she goes, okay, I'm going to bed then.
So now there's more of it's the grabbing into the buckets, full buckets with the garbage bags. they're grabbing it and stuff, and like, oh my God, what is it? What the fuck is it?
So then the next drama is a dare with Marina. She goes, you know what? Like, you should be on service next time. Like, you're never on service. She goes, oh my God, I love service so much. I just want to be on service. And Adair tells her she's being too nice about it. And she goes, well, maybe Laura has a better bond with Bree, you know, and she wants to be with Bree more. Like, I don't know. But I've been so professional, very dedicated, and extremely sexy. And this is becoming embarrassing, you know? Like, after a while, you question yourself, what you're doing. Your store is on date night.
So then Alicia is in the galley, and Johnny is, of course, flirting with her, and he's like right up on top of her, basically, and she's like, oh, you got my Hoover. Thank you for getting the vacuum. He's like, I'm ready to get married, have children, tell them how to lean up against a rock, be a good husband, everything. Maybe cheat on you, but who knows? We'll see what happens.
brought Hoover, just as husband would. Let us make baby. She's like, whoa. So then Harry asks Laura if he could have a guest cabin so that he could set up a snuggle. And she's like, a fuck? He's like, no, a snuggle. What are you kidding? That's like a 10-year anniversary type thing you're talking about. Come on.
Oh, well, I'm so glad you guys are finally going to get a little bit more physical. Physical? No, I bought a bag of snuggles and I want to put it on there. I know that little white bear is so cute, isn't it? I think that Bree will really like it.
I want to be able to lay on the bed with Bree and then have a partition between us so we have to judge each other based only on a certain personality trait. We're trying to make a Love is Blind moment.
So Laura's giving some orders to people, and people go to sleep, but Laura stays up and she decorates the crew mess to say happy birthday to Marina. Her birthday is the next day, as we mentioned, and then Harry is up late working because, you know, it's Harry, and Vion, of course, is lazy. So it's the next morning. And everyone is waking up, and Marina goes in and sees everything that says happy birthday, and she feels so much better. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I finally feel seen and loved. Oh, goodness. I still want to be on service, though. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, they all just start throwing dirty underwear at her head. They're like, get these clean. She's like, okay, that was short-lived. So Vion is like, oh my God, I'm gonna have Harry doing. You know, look, I was mad at Harry yesterday. You know, for fuck's sake, bro, why are you making my job harder? And Adair's like, do you want another coffee? And he goes, yeah, of course. Make me another one. So she comes down to make a coffee, and Jason's down there in the crew mess. And he's like, who are you making coffee for? And she's like, me and Vion. And he's like, you're on deck. And she goes, mm-hmm. He goes, uh-huh. And are you on break? And she goes, no. And he goes, okay. So how can you have coffee when you're working? She's like, because I'm going to bring down my glass, okay? There's an empty glass. There's needed to be some coffee in it, so I'm putting coffee in it. What is confusing here?
I think you guys are missing the point. Like, you're on deck, not break. Yeah, but like coffee will be on break. But we're going to go up there and be on deck, but have a coffee with a break. We're having coffee breaks on deck. That counts as being on deck, right? If you have a coffee break up on deck, it's like, that's not what it's about. That's why it's called the real world, okay? And Laura's just there. She's just cleaning a surface and shaking her head. She's like, it's not a retreat. So, so that's, Adair is so dumb. And I love that Vion is talking about like, Harry's not doing his job. He's just making my life more difficult, and like actively sending Adair to get coffee and not helping out on the deck at the same time.
So he's complaining about Serena to Laura. He's like, I mean, Serena came to me very angry, saying I'm putting a lot. She wasn't very angry, first of all, saying that I'm putting a lot of pressure on the interior. She goes, well, you know, sometimes there's not really much structure in the deck crew, you know, like they're running around doing their own thing. And Adair in the crew mess and Captain's sitting there while she's making coffee. I mean, it's 20 to 8, you know, do you think someone that has been up for an hour working needs coffee? And he's like, probably not. Never mentioning that it's his coffee she was making because he's him. You know?
That's right. She goes, you know, he's like, well, someone needs to take control. She goes, that's your job. You're in charge of that team. They need to know. I mean, it's crazy that he says someone has to take control.
That's the point, dude.
You idiot. She's like, they need to know that there's repercussions if they haven't done it. I mean, at the moment, they're just living the dream. This is super yacht. It needs to be perfect, and it's not. He's like, Jesus Christ, I'm not lying. I promise you, I ran up those stairs. I'm running up these stairs. She goes, but this is going around in circles. It's like, no, it's not. She's telling you, get your shit together. You're embarrassing.
Yeah, it's going in circles because you don't change anything. So she's like, whatever, just take me back to my own boat. So now he goes to complain about Laura. So now it's everybody against Vian, you know? So he's like, oh my God, she says I have no structure? I mean, are we even working on the same boat? And John D's like, if they want drama, let them drama. We know drama.
We are D&D. So people wake up and they're going to go, they have to get up there for breakfast and everything. And then it's time for anchors because they're going to drop off everyone. And Johnny goes up to the captain and he's like, excuse me, Captain Jason. I just want to ask for permission today. After drop off, may I take Alicia to vacuum store so I can show her all the hoovers? Yeah, sure. I don't care.
I would like date night with Alicia. We are visiting wedding chapel and birthing home. It's like, all right, well, that's romantic. Would you like a kimono?
So Adair's like, Captain Adair, okay, I'm off on the tender, headed to the marina. And he's like, all right, great to hear that. Hope that you can find some coffee out there. So then Johnny comes into the galley and Serena's like, are you here to flirt with my sous chef again? I mean, how many vacuum cleaners can you bring in here? We've got 6 already. Running out of room to cook my soups for folks.
You must ask about our marriage. It is hierarchy. You need to ask. And she's like, okay, hierarchy. Oh, boss lady, can I go with this semi-hot person to eat things? And she's like, oh my God, I have so much power right now. Let me think about it. Better you than me. Do you mind wearing goggles on your head that will camera all of this back to me just so I can live vicariously as you're fed by a man?
Johnny VR. So then now it's time to docking. And they dock. And then the guests leave. The primary, she has a whole speech. I have to say, she really nailed her speech. She was like, I have to say, this was one of the greatest days of all time. When we started this charter, we had 3 main goals. The first was to connect with old friends and connect with new ones. Second was to explore exotic lands, and it just goes on and on. But she did.
I'm exhausted. Do you have 3?
She has a lot of points to make, but she was like, she clearly had practiced. And you know what? Good for her. You're on TV. Way to nail it. Yeah. They leave. And Jason calls Vian to the bridge. And meanwhile, while he's going up there, Harry's asking Johnny how he's feeling. Johnny is just exhausted. And Harry's like, well, I don't like all the negativity on deck team. It's not helping me work, period, if the leaders are like that. The whole team's like that. I'm like, yeah, but you're being negative right now, Harry. So
yeah, Harry is kind of causing a lot of the negativity because he's running around tattletaling on everybody, you know. And that's not to say Vihan doesn't suck. Obviously, Vihan sucks, but Harry's not really helping the vibe, you know. So Jason sits them all down for tip meeting, and he's like, "All right, sharpen your team up. All right, like I caught Adair down there getting you and her coffee this morning, and that's the moment I need you to step up and say, no, we don't need coffee after 7 a.m. All right." Do you understand? He's like, blink, blink. Okay.
It's like not teaching your team the right way is not a leader. At the moment, I'm talking to you like a head of department. But the next step is for me talking to you like a customer for a kimono. A beautiful kimono. Would you like to touch it? It's wonderful.
And he's like, why didn't you go on the beach trip? And he goes, there were 5 already. Yeah, but you were the one assigning people, babe. Why are you acting like you have nothing to do with any of this? And Jason's like, well, it would have been nice for you to pencil that in. All right, so you could see how it was done, and nobody knew how it was done. You know, and I don't want to nitpick everything, but it's also come to my attention that you wear bathrobes instead of kimonos. I'm not going to stand for that, all right? And there's negativity and there's moaning, and you're moaning to everybody. You've got to stop it, you know? I heard that because Harry moaned it to me.
He only moaned it to me because you already started the moaning train, okay? So if it's not sorted out, I'll make changes. And you know you're qualified to be here, so do your job. But now you've got to be a good leader and actually lead. He's like, which I am! Because Vian whines so much. Like, we can't emphasize how much he is whining during this episode. He's like, I'll do my best to lead the team better, and to help the interior as much as I can, but it's not my fault. He's like, thank you very much. So
he never takes accountability. It's so annoying.
It's the worst.
Jason's like, well, there's negativity. And he goes, well, I'll do my best to lead the team better and help the interior. And he's like, okay, then. So then Vian to himself is like, I don't have time for this bullshit, as he walks off. So, that was before tip meeting. Sorry. So
yeah, this is just like a private meeting.
Yeah. So it was a private meeting.
Then private dances. So then Jason has a meeting and he says, oh, it's good, but, communication is a problem, as we all know. This vague thing is happening about communication, so improve it, even though I'm not going to give specifics about what needs to be improved. So he gives the helmet to Marina and he's like, I can't give it to her for being a bad worker because she's great at working and it's her birthday. So let me give her the helmet. So she gets the helmet and she's not happy about it.
I need a consistent helmet award where the helmet is given to the person who fucks up. That's it. You can't be like, this is the worst thing, and you just have to get over it and wear it. But then be like, but also, you're the best worker, and it's your birthday, so you have to wear it. What the fuck? It's not fair.
I know. So she gets it, and Jason's like, all right, now I want the heads of department to stay back. Okay, now, each of you stand there. How tall are you? I need to know what size kimono I'm going to give you all. Each of you is getting a complimentary one. I want you to wear it on charter and really try to sell it on the guests. Thank you so much for your participation in this.
He's like, now listen, when you see deckhands standing around or in the crew mess getting another coffee, it's getting to me. It's getting to me. And Vion's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, so you guys have a chat. I'm not going to lead this at all while I'm talking about leadership. You guys figure it out. Goodbye. So he leaves. And I was like, come on, man. I think I think it's a point where he should be in the meeting with the heads of department. Because
I think so.
Obviously the problem is their communication. How do you know how bad it is if you're not sitting there in there listening to their communication? Sit in there.
Exactly. So Zarina starts it off and she's like saying she needs more support. She wanted more information about the picnic. She didn't know simple things like the walk from the catamaran to the car and how the car's going to be set up. She would have packed things differently. It would have made her life easier. And he's like, but I couldn't say to you, hey, this is how it's going to go because I've never been there. I'm like, well, why didn't you go? Why didn't you scout it out? Why didn't you do some Googling? Why didn't you do some basic research? And Laura's like, he's like, but that's the thing with last night. I felt like I came to you and I said, could you please take control of the game thing? I mean, how many times do I have to say 4 buckets with garbage bags on top? It's that simple.
Yeah, and then their service, like what we're doing, when we're going, who's serving who. And, the deck team is having so much fun. And I need the support from you to be like, let's do this, And he's like, oh, really? Well, this is where I have confusion because, like, how much time do I allow someone to be in the interior? I can't be everywhere. And she's like, have my back. And he goes, but I do. And she's like, no, I don't think the deck team respects you, and I don't think they do what you say. And Serena says, you need discipline. There's time for banter and fun. And he goes, no, this is not how I manage. I prioritize sleep, eat, and, listen, we don't just make beds.
Love letters. Love letters
like,
and cheese
write
boards
in
are
book.
also in there.
He's like, write in book. Because, we're not just making beds. I work with cranes, jet skis. Yeah, you're not even doing that right. The fucking chain was fucked up today while you were looking at pictures, and you put out a leaky thing and could have killed someone in 2 feet of water, sir.
Yeah, he's like, I want you to go out there and work for an hour. So it's like, well, if that's so hard and being in the interior is so easy, then it should be no sweat off anyone's back to go help bring a plate upstairs. So then Zarina's like, but you have an explanation for everything. You've not once said, yeah, I fucked up. Not once. And Laura goes, ugh, just madness. And
yeah,
that's where it ends.
Another meeting where nothing gets accomplished because he's not listening to shit. Yeah, Jason needs to be there for this stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah, this guy's such a piece of shit. Oh my God, I hope he gets fired.
Truly.
Anyway, well, it's just another below deck and another shitty bosun. That's the way it goes. Thanks everyone for being here. Go to watchcrappens.com to get your tickets for our live shows or join our Patreon to see our White Lotus recaps, etc. And we will catch you in the next episode. Bye. Everyone.